There seems to be an awful lot of sad stories in the news today, and there are thousands missing. Does anybody care? We built a channel where we talk about those faces. Talking news with Debbie. Cassie Barnes has still not been found, and it's been 2 years since her case first hit the spotlight. Breaking. Chad Debe and Vallow both behind bars. Sarah Galloway was found. She wasn't found alive. What happened to Sarah Galloway?
It's too heartbreaking to share.
Children are still missing. Children like Dorsey. You're in shame. You just got away with it. Welcome to Talking News. Hello everyone. My name is Debbie. We use big stories to push little faces.
Hello everyone, welcome to Chasing a Murderer Talking News. Before we get started, take a moment to subscribe, like, and don't forget to share your thoughts below in the comments. Look for the notification bell if you would like notifications whenever we have new uploads. Don't forget, you can also donate to Patreon if you would like to help this channel keep putting out the content. Everything that we see on the channel today has been made possible by you, the viewers, the subscribers, the people who show their support. Thank you so much. So today, we are moving into Life Beyond the Grave, which is attached to the Lori Vallow case. And can you believe it? We are on part 56. We begin in Rexburg, Idaho, where Chad Daybell and his family live. The blood moon has come and gone, and the world is still going. Julie Rowe is one of the people that media is following during the blood moon, but she's catching a lot of heat from the LDS leaders. And at this point in her life, she's starting to pull back and doubt whether she ought to be reaching out to the public about her thoughts or her ideas, her visions especially. She and Chad Daybell, their relationship seemed to strengthen. She has made multiple visits to their home through their energy sessions and also at the BYU library. Now remember, many people say, I need to break in the timeline here for a second, that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's meeting was the perfect recipe for disaster. And so, as Chad and Julie, their relationship is building, it seems that Chad is seeing more in this relationship, possibly than Julie Rowe. One of the things that Chad does is he cries to Julie about some of the visions that he's having. And these visions are not pleasant, and they're worse than any earthquake or disaster. In fact, these visions actually touch on the fact that his wife, Tammy, she's going to die. Julie Rowe's take on her relationship with Chad Daybell is the fact that God brought them together. The two became good friends, and Rose said she would visit the Daybells in their Springfield, Utah home dozens of times. During those visits, that's when they would talk about visions that they both had. According to Julie Rowe, she is stated saying that they had angels that come to them and told them that Chad's wife, Tammy, would die. She said, quote, he was emotionally distraught. He was crying, and he said that his angels told him that he was going to lose Tammy, end quote. Knowing what we know now in this case, was this a warning that he was going to do something to his wife then? Or was it angels were truly speaking to Chad, warning him of what was to come for Tammy Daybell? Drop it in comments below what you believe. No matter what, it appears that Chad Daybell had more than a friendship going on with Julie Rowe. It seemed he had a crush on Julie Rowe. But that is my speculation based off the research that I've done. Only Julie Rowe can tell us exactly what happened during those years of their friendship. Maybe one day she will have the courage to come forward and share the truth. But definitely, this is one of the red flags that I've taken and put into a timeline attached to this case. Had Chad Daybell thought about Tammy and getting rid of her before Lori Vallow come into the picture? During this time, we know that Chad Daybell had advised Julie Rowe to not speak to media about her predictions as the blood moon was approaching in September of 2015. Julie Rowe herself hinted that there were big things to come in September. But at some point after the blood moon had come and gone, she decided that she was just going to drop off the face of the earth. It was very apparent that the negative attention was starting to get to Julie. She said, quote, "Contracts null and void on energy sessions. If you have concerns about this, please refer to the contracts you have signed and take care of yourself. Need to focus on my own family, my own health, and my own duties, obligations, and responsibilities," end quote. It was apparent that Julie Rowe was struggling with the fact that the church was standing against her and how her critics were pretty much blogging every LDS forum out there. But not only that, the post was actually, well, she goes on to tell her readers to repent and prepare for the end of the world. Quote, "That is my additional official statement. Not finished with the work, but I'm finished with the portion of the word. Today, right now, immediately. No need to wait to start living your greater tomorrow." End quote. So here she is. She is giving warnings that there is something to fear. And the blood moon is definitely a sign of those end days approaching. Meanwhile, church spokesman Eric Hawkins tells the public that, quote, "The writings and speculations of individual church members, some of which have gained currency recently, should be considered as a personal account or positions that do not reflect the church doctrine," end quote. One of Julie Rowe's last statements or acknowledgments is the lunar eclipse, and all she said was it was beautiful, but did not have anything further to say about end times or her predictions. So here she is giving out all these warnings, this fear, and then goes quiet. There's no doubt in my mind that Chad Daybell had some role to play in a lot of decisions going on during that time. So something that Julie Rowe was also touching on around this time is translated beings. So here's something Julie shared about translated beings. Quote, "Now the last words which are written by Ether are these: whether the Lord will that I be translated, or that I suffer the will of the Lord in the flesh, it mattereth not. If it so be that I am saved in the kingdom of God. Amen." This insinuates that Julie believes that she is a translated being. And I'll go more into translated beings shortly. All you need to know is it's a state of being where one doesn't feel pain, sorrow. They don't need to eat nor sleep, and they work at the side of the Lord. It's important to understand that this word translated is being used by Julie Rowe because this is something Lori Vallow is paying attention to around this time. Lori Vallow's friends can actually tell you how fascinated Lori Vallow is with End Days in 2015 and Chad Daybell's books, and how fixated she is on being part of the people who are throwing out this belief system. On a daily basis, more Mormons are actually learning about Julie Rowe, even non-Mormons. But it's the Mormons that are out there blogging like, who the heck is Julie Rowe? Because they're seeing some of the stuff that she's writing. They're hearing people talk about her. And one of these people that are on these websites write about one of his friends who he goes to visit and sees him acting kind of nuts. Title is, Who the F is Julie Rowe? I just left the customer's house in St. George, and he was in the backyard feverishly stacking firewood. Apparently, he has spent the last week going to case lot sales and stockpiling food also. When I asked him what the heck is going on, he asked me if I've been paying attention to Julie Rowe and her revelations. From what I could gather from him, she had a near-death experience a few years ago and was told by God to keep her mouth shut until the designated time, at which point she could start telling the people what she had captured in a vision while she was in near death. What my customer told me is that 7 years of tribulation are nearly upon us, and the general authorities are aware of the message she is spreading and are allowing her to continue it. He goes on to tell me that this is coming fall or winter. The general authorities are going to announce to the church members to pack their shit up and head to the church property. He even told me that he was preparing to take his food storage to the nearest church building where the local leaders are going to load all of his food storage along with everyone else's into the church on semis and take the food storage up to the church-owned property in the mountains where everyone is supposed to have camping gear and warm clothes and food. Has anyone heard of this? Okay, so let's stop reading for a second. So you can see, this is what people are coming across. People actually taking actions, serious actions, for devastation supposedly approaching. And for them, it seems completely real because they're being told that church authorities are supporting this. And guess who is hearing this stuff? Well, Lori Vallow, of course. Lori Vallow and many, many others who have the most loyal faith and the LDS leaders and people attached to it. Then, as rumors go, they start saying that apparently Joseph Smith prophesied before his death that the second Civil War will begin in Chicago over matters of currency, and that supposedly, or apparently, that is what is supposed to happen that fall of 2015. I know that some of you are wondering, well, what's the responses to this post? Well, one response is my MIL is going to see her speak Saturday night. She has my MIL convinced that the end is near, and now she's wanting to move to Utah. I wish I was making this up. So you're seeing the impact people like this are making within a pretty decent amount of people in that community, at least. Their friends, they say, have driven from Northern California all the way to Utah just to see her. So many of them kind of laughing it off, saying, ha ha, that would be awesome. You could get a glimpse of the craziness I have to deal with when she comes down. So obviously, there's many LDS members who have friends and family that are being touched by this nonsense. Many people are paying for tickets just to go see how crazy she is, to see how crazy the people are going to support Julie. Quite frankly, I believe that this is probably one of the biggest scams that they had to deal with in a long time. And I try my best to be as respectful as I can telling the story, but it's very difficult when you see so many people who lost so much believing in this idea. And still to this day, many of the people who were in this circle have no idea how much chaos they created and devastation in their wake. They're one of the reasons we are telling this story today, with posts like, "Loved looking at the beautiful lunar eclipse last night. A chance to start afresh and able to see very clearly from my viewpoint. It was beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. I hope you had a chance to enjoy it as well, and that you had clear skies to view it through. Lots of love, lots of great skies ahead. Great days are here. I am alive and well and happy to live at this great day and to have strength to continue moving onward and upward. God is great." Posts like this, they say that they're seeing huge spikes in the traffic and extended threads, especially on Reddit, talking about the apocalyptic visions and whether they were officially tied to the LDS Church. Many of them are speaking of anxiety. Many of the families are enduring anxiety. This includes unconfirmed reports as many as 10,000 followers sold homes, property, and cashed in retirement plans. Anticipation is toward the coming apocalypse. And all of this triggered by a post by Julie Rowe. We are getting very close. You got to remember that people like Chad and Julie and several others are not alone. When they read messages that have been given from President Russell M. Nelson, so he's the president of the LDS Church, they believe that some of these messages are, well, they're directly written to them. For example, were messages where Russell had mentioned the fact that whether truth emerges from scientific laboratory or through revelation, all truth emanates from God. He talks about how he feels like he has to hide his faith and that this is something they shouldn't have to do. And he mentions the fact that scholars should cherish their freedom of expression and that one's spiritual truth cannot be ignored. So therefore, people like Julie and Chad, they actually take these as personal outreach messages. They believe they're specifically out there for people like them, and that there's a secret message written within. Truthfully, Chad Daybell kind of excludes most people except for his own family when it comes to visions and events to happen in the future. As we learned earlier, Chad has talked with his children from early ages into their adulthood about how he sees the future and how they play an important role in that future. But it's not just his children who are going to play in this special role, it's going to be his grandchildren as well. His children seem important to his future. And this is important to remember because of what happens to Lori's children. Chad clearly has set a tone and ideas of the direction he wants to go. He seems to have plans that only he truly has all the details for. Even his wife Tammy seems to be excluded from some of Chad's plans. And for me, this says quite a bit. It says that his love for his wife seemed limited. And it makes me wonder, what did he really have in common with Tammy? What did he love about Tammy, if he did? And why did he marry Tammy? Well, just recently on a show called True Hidden Crime, they did an interview with Chad Daybell's brother's wife, Heather Daybell. And she had a little bit to say. One of those things is the fact that Chad Daybell wasn't necessarily very close with some of his family members outside of his own family. Heather Daybell and Chad Daybell, they had very difficult times getting along. This is because Heather could basically see through his BS. Chad Daybell's brother, Matt Daybell, is stuck between two of the people he loves. He's stuck between his brother Chad and his wife Heather. They don't get along. And when Chad wrote some of his first books, he brought it over for his brother Matt Daybell to read. But Matt said he refused to read these books. On the other hand, Heather asked, where are the books? Give them to me. I'll read over them. She read them, but she wasn't, impacted very much or thrilled with what he was writing. Writing about the fact that he was going to be head over many of these tribulations, campsites, and how he's one of God's chosen people. Well, this was difficult for her to swallow. One thing Heather did share is the fact that she never really got to know Tammy very well, because when they would meet at family gatherings, Tammy would just walk past her. She wouldn't say a word to her. So it's easy to probably assume that Chad had something to do with that. Chad's parents, on the other hand, were somewhat supportive to him, and of course they loved their son. But it's been said that no one in the family was ever absolutely thrilled with Chad's books. Chad is often talking to leaders within their ward. And he seems to have quite an impact on these guys, at least during this time. They seem to believe in Chad and trust in Chad. This is something Chad Daybell's brother's wife, Heather, really doesn't understand. And as we move deeper into this story, you'll find out why. We're going to end it here for now. And I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hope you get your bellies full. I'm very grateful to have you guys here. You've been very supportive. I want to mention also, guys, if you like seeing this type of thing on this channel, please head over to our Patreon channel at Chasing a Murderer, and you can donate one time. You can donate $1 a month to help us be able to continue making content. Please take a moment out of your day to share one of our girls' faces. Their cases are just kind of stuck. They're not going anywhere. Maybe you can help get answers for these families. Love you all. Thank you so much. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.